Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day to start things off. Andreas Antonopoulos, a Bitcoin advocate, during a question and answer session on whether Bitcoin is testing governments, explained the role of Bitcoin and the critical impact it has on governments worldwide. After speaking about his views on Bitcoin in the very first message imprinted on the Bitcoin block, Andreas was questioned about the people's responsibility towards the currency and the government. His response started with the power of ideas and the idea of Bitcoin. He said, and I do quote, "Ideas are powerful and ideas change the future money effectively than any other thing in the history of humanity. Not people, ideas. And the good news is that Bitcoin isn't people, it's ideas," end quote. Andreas said that although there were a lot of people behind Bitcoin, fundamentally, it is an idea, he continued to say, and I once again quote, "And in one really beautiful way, it's an idea that has been distilled into some mathematical formulas and put together as software. So this idea now runs on the internet and doesn't run in one place on the internet," end quote. According to him, the idea of Bitcoin has been set free and runs everywhere. When better understood, it's simple to implement. He further adds that out of the 100 people who have contributed to the code, there are people who have picked up this idea and recreated the whole code in a weekend. This was followed by people writing the whole code anew, leading to the creation of a variety of codes that have not been seen before. However, this also makes the idea dangerous as it is unstoppable. Since the idea itself is unstoppable, the government considers it their authority to stop the cryptocurrencies, the blockchain, and Bitcoin. This is mainly the government's general application of power to stop things, Andreas once again said. And when you talk to people in governments, there's something funny that happens, which is they assume that you are questioning their authority. They assume that you are questioning whether they are duly authorized, that they have the moral authority to stop cryptocurrencies, to stop blockchain, to stop Bitcoin, end quote. We've seen this over the last couple of months as a number of countries have all come forward and they have stated, firstly, that they were going to ban cryptocurrencies, that they were going to ban Bitcoin. A lot of them stating that they were even going to ban blockchain because they had no idea what a blockchain was. And even if we use just one example, the entire thing that happened with, I think it was members of Congress a couple of months ago when they were asking questions, kind of like the Facebook Q&A that Mark Zuckerberg had, where they were pretty much asking, or rather they were insinuating, asking how they could get control of it if Bitcoin was going to remove the US from power, and how they could even potentially use it, not as a weapon, but how the US could make use of it before Europe does, and that the European Union becomes more powerful because they have been making use of the technology before them. So we have a situation now where governments are, you can tell that, not that they're upset, but they want to make sure that they remain in power, because whether you believe this or not, the few people in government tend to think that they know more than the entire country that they govern, i.e. they believe that they are the rulers because they are the most intelligent and they know exactly what's going on. So when something else comes out of the woodworks 9 years ago and all but threatens their power and existence, what have you, this is a threat to them, because I tried to mention it before, and I'm pretty sure I've spoken a little bit about it. You have to understand there's a difference between another country trying to overthrow a government, or rushing in, barging in, and knocking on the doors and burning and pillaging and destroying. That's one thing you can kind of see this coming. And this is what people are typically used to when it comes to some sort of an attack. But if someone creates something, or one or two people or three people create something in a basement and then release it into the world, and it's just a digital code, something that people can't physically touch, that is now threatening world governments, that is a major thing. And I don't think that right now what we're seeing is actually history, whether you want to believe that or not, or if you really noticed it. We are going to have history books written about these moments where governments were toppled because of computer code. I know it sounds completely insane, but we're definitely going to have a lot of stuff happening just like this. Andreas clarified that he is not questioning the authority of the governments, but their ability to act on their authority. He stated that the governments can have all the authority in the world, but have zero ability to act on it. He further stated that governments are being tested by Bitcoin. According to him, Bitcoin forces the governments to reveal their true colors. Andreas said that countries which respect individuals' freedom support Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, or at least cryptocurrencies to continue, opposed to countries which do not respect individuals' freedoms of their own citizens. The Bitcoin advocate continued to state that governments which appear to be free will also be challenged by this test. According to him, these governments are eventually going to fail Bitcoin when things are hunky-dorky, and then because the country's own currency is suffering. Andreas stated that people who use Bitcoin, he says that they are called terrorists by the governments of Turkey, government of India, and the government of Venezuela. He considers this ironic because, to him, some of these countries sponsor terrorism, after which these governments propagate that Bitcoin is used to fund terrorism, criminal activities, and buy drugs. We've seen that many times before. A lot of people, not even people, governments and lawmakers, the one thing that they can kind of talk about now, or they say why they are thinking of restricting cryptocurrencies, is because it comes down to these things can be used for illegal activities. And then when we have studies that are being done by universities around the world stating that no one, or rather a very small fraction of people, are actually using cryptocurrencies for anything illegal, we get people talking about, okay, well, this can still fund terrorism. People are still allowed to do criminal activities as if you already can't do this with fiat money. And then the argument of drugs also comes up, which I'm really not going to get into, but typically drugs that you buy over the counter can be more dangerous than other ones, or are just as addictive. But these are the arguments that are kind of going around right now. And then on the entire thing of governments being tested, or governments that state that they are free, I've listened to a couple of his speeches and I kind of know what he means. If you don't understand exactly what he means, he pretty much, when a government or country says that they're free and their governments are and their citizens are allowed to do as they wish, as they please, go as they wish, or buy what they want, they have started restricting this in very small ways. Dramatic change doesn't happen overnight. It happens very slowly, and a lot of people don't understand this. And what ends up happening is that after 15 years, you realize that you've been painted into a corner, that you've been painting yourself because you haven't realized that you were actually using the brush. So these governments that have stated that everything is free, everything is great and wonderful in their countries, and now is the question of, if you're so free and so wonderful, will you allow your citizens to use a form of money that you did not create? And this is going to be the ultimate test, because a lot of them are going to say that they're free and they're this and they're that, and it's, you know, it's a great place to live. We haven't had, one thing that I'm very afraid of is having protests for cryptocurrencies. I know it may seem a bit unorthodox or out of the realm of possibility, but I think that we're eventually going to see this in the form of governments toppling, the people trying to use cryptocurrency, whether that be Bitcoin, Dash, any other thing that may be out there, and governments trying to say, no, you definitely cannot do this. And that is going to be a major issue in the future, and I'm not really looking forward to it happening. Andreas once again said, and I quote, "As if there's any form of money that is not used to do those things, that is terrorism, criminal activities, and buying drugs. And this is a great irony, because money is a tool to convey value. And if you're conveying value, of course, you're going to use it to convey value on things that are strictly legal, or at least in the country or that country. They're not strictly legal. All money has been used to do that forever. The illegal activities themselves have been used as money," end quote. Andreas concluded by saying that governments will try to stop Bitcoin and eventually fail at it. This is because when it comes down to a choice between the future of their children and obeying a stupid law, people will choose the prior option. And this, according to him, is the current state of Venezuela, which we are not going to get into because that is an entirely 25-30 minute conversation. The point is when you listen to his speeches, Andreas is pretty much the face of Bitcoin, for those who don't know or may be confused as to why this person is significant. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, for Ethereum, we have Vitalik. For Cardano, we have Hoskinson. For XRP, we have Garlinghouse. There isn't a face of Bitcoin, but as far as like the largest advocate or proponent, whatever word you are comfortable with using, it is Andreas Antonopoulos, and he is constantly traveling around the world talking to governments in the most polite fashion possible, pretty much telling them that you cannot stop this, but I'm going to tell you how to embrace it. And he tries to do it in the nicest way, but you can tell during some of his speeches, especially when he's talking to bankers and stuff like that, you can feel the tension in the video. It's very interesting because you see the people moving around in their chairs, and it's not that The seat is uncomfortable. It's that they physically are uncomfortable with the idea of this thing supplanting everything that they've created. We're going to see a very different world in the next couple of years. Like I said, I know it doesn't seem like even what we're doing right now, you listening to this is also making history. We are all part of it. At this point, if you listen to what he said before in a number of his other speeches, he says that even if Bitcoin is not the coin that ends up becoming the world currency or the one that people choose to use on the internet, he says even if the entire world governments completely destroy every cryptocurrency that we have right now, he says the idea is there. This is why he said earlier somewhere around here, he said, he's mentioned this before, he said it's now possible for a 14-year-old to take the code, sit inside of their bedroom and overnight create a brand new coin by themselves. So he says, regardless if it's Bitcoin or not, this idea will not die until it completely engulfs the entire world, that people are or should be or then are able to control their own money, to have control of their own future. And this is why he said if it comes to following rules or worrying about the welfare of your child, you're probably going to not care about the law, and you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that your child has a proper chance of living and succeeding. But yeah, it's I didn't not care for Andreas for a while. I thought he was not radical, he was just very intense whenever he kind of spoke about Bitcoin. But I do admire what he is doing. I think we need more people like him in the cryptocurrency space. I'm not expecting 1,000 men or women to rise up to talk about the beauty and the future of cryptocurrencies. But it's nice to have someone who has the gall to go around to different countries and different governments and stand before them. This isn't it, obviously, but pretty much tell them, this is going to happen. You cannot stop it. And I can hold your hand along the way to make you feel better if that's something that you need. It's very interesting. If you have not seen any of his other talks, and it's the weekend, the time of me making this video, watch one of his talks. He's very interesting, and he has a lot to say about the future of cryptocurrencies. Next up, there's a cryptocurrency exchange by the name of Kione. They have launched a new trading platform that they say will bring much liquidity to the cryptocurrency markets. Called Liquid, the new service is a cryptocurrency trading portal that provides users with access to which it claims in a press release is a worldwide network of cryptocurrency exchanges. With a lack of liquidity having hampered the development of the cryptocurrency markets, Liquid argued that this new product could help usher in greater stability. From launch, Liquid will allow users to match trade across multiple transactions and cryptocurrencies, that is, make cross cryptocurrency conversions, as well as convert from the Singapore dollar, which is very big because Singapore is incredibly rich. The firm says, as an example, orders of Bitcoin and Singapore dollar, Ethereum, and Bitcoin for Ethereum could be matched together. Later on, the firm plans to expand that offering with what it is calling a world book technology. This aggregates orders and prices on different exchanges into a single order book and allows orders to be placed in the currency of choice. According to an example of the system in the Liquid white paper, a German trader who wants to sell Bitcoin can opt to view the world book for Bitcoin in euros. When an order is placed, they can then sell their order to the Bitcoin Euro market, with the order's price also being reflected in their order book in euros. Okay, I thought this was interesting simply because of the liquidity factor, not of the logistics of what they are saying that they are claiming to do. This is also not a paid advertisement. I do not know the people from Coin1 not being paid by them. We need liquidity in the market. It is imperative at this point that we actually have it. The cryptocurrency market has become very stagnant, and even though prices have lowered, the problem with all of this is that the volume has also completely been shattered, and this is why I am impatient when it comes to the other things that are supposed to be launching in September and October and November to just finally kind of get started. The powers that be have their grasp on cryptocurrency and are taking their time when it comes to releasing all these new products. So eventually we will have a greater amount of liquidity, but it's good even though, even if we just had 3 exchanges before, and let's say we only have 5 or 6 now, even them bringing this to the forefront is also something very, very good, because we have discussed many times before when it comes to Bitcoin kind of controlling the entire market. And also, if you realize and are paying attention, a lot of new pairings have been linked to Ethereum. And when the price of Ethereum goes down now, even if Bitcoin is down 1% and Ethereum goes down by 8%, the rest of the market also gets dragged down with it, because for some reason crypto exchanges have not gotten it through their heads that you need more than just Bitcoin and Ethereum pairings for everything. Even more than just XRP, you need at least the top 10, top 15, top 20 coins to have some type of multiple pairings between all of them. I don't know if it's the logistics of doing it on the website, if they are not in the mood to pair all these things. I'm not really certain what it is, but I feel like it could be done in an afternoon and just adding a couple of widgets to the website. The point is, I hope that more things like this get launched. I love the idea of increasing liquidity, because when the market does eventually, potentially, one day, eventually again start going crazy, we're going to need a lot of platforms like this, because crypto cannot rely on Kraken, Binance, and Coinbase alone. It just does not work. Next up, Ripple is in the news today. Chris Larsen, who is the co-founder of Ripple, spoke to Cheddar regarding the current state of Ripple. He also spoke about the competition that Ripple is facing and their progress towards signing banks. Larsen stated that it was good that companies were focusing on solving for cross-border payment solutions, as they have been doing so for 4 years. He stated that this area would have the highest impact, and that it was the killer app for the whole blockchain movement. For those who don't know what a killer app is, and it sounds pretty straightforward, what it pretty much means in the cryptocurrency space is that the idea is that when crypto, or what is going to cause crypto to become mainstream, is something that everyone can use on the drop of a dime, i.e. everyone uses their smartphone, everyone opens up their smartphone, everyone, more or less, more people use Instagram or Facebook or whatever other people are using on their phone nowadays. And these are killer apps, as everyone, millions of people, potentially billions of people in the world are using them. So the idea of a killer app is something that'll bring cryptocurrency to the forefront, and that everyone in the entire world know kind of what cryptocurrency is, as they're using it on a daily basis. Chris Larsen said, and I do quote, "We've been at it longer than anybody. What matters is what corridors you have, the number of partners. We've got hundreds of banks, payment providers, remittance companies, not just in experimentation mode, but in full production mode," end quote. Speaking about regulatory environments worldwide, Larsen stated that they see great traction in areas such as Southeast Asia, Japan, and Korea. He also spoke about Ripple's movements in the Middle East, as they were signing almost one partnership per week. He also mentioned countries such as India and spoke about how Europe was moving forward. What this pretty much has to do with is when they say not experimenting, that is, we've had a lot of news over the last year. It's been about a year now, if you can believe that Ripple had a lot of people who were testing their products, but apparently this was actually during a, not a live speech, but it was on the internet somewhere. They noted that they have hundreds of these institutions who are actually in full production to actually use their products, and they're not just testing them anymore, but these still have not been announced, as they have non-disclosure agreements, because typically if a company is using it and they don't want their not opponent, I was thinking ally and then opposite opponent, some other company who you are, rivaled against, whatever, they don't want them to know that they're using this because it saves money or so-and-so costs, whatever. You don't want your rival, my English is horrible, rival to use what you are using. So everything has been relatively hush-hush. And when it comes to Asia, the Ripple team has been very smart in trying to corner a section of the world that other cryptocurrency companies have not been aiming towards, i.e. IOTA has been very focused on Europe, as they are a German cryptocurrency, and Ripple has been making sure to target Asia because there's a lot of people there. It's well known that they also have a major partnership with the entire country of India, as they are partnered with 50 to 60% or more of the banks actually in India, and also in the Middle East. There was some news, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like the beginning of the summer that they had partnered with, I think, one of the largest banks in the Middle East. So they're making sure to not just focus on the United States, because the US has kind of not shunned them, but, with the SEC taking forever to kind of give clarity on the cryptocurrency space, the Ripple team really doesn't care anymore. So they've pretty much moved on to other countries, because the US can kind of do what it wants, but there is still money to be made in many other countries around the world. Larsen said once again, and I quote, "We're seeing the world light up. The US is obviously very important in that dollar clearing. We feel great about the progress we've made with American Express. We've got some other partners that we're really excited about. And quote, I guess this is another thing that, they apparently have so many partners that they just can't tell us about. And it's a bit frustrating because you want news in general. But they've been very hush hush. One can only assume that they are major partners. And anyway, moving forward. Many investors and cryptocurrency enthusiasts have been against the lack of regulatory clarity given to cryptocurrencies. However, Larson stated that it was the best fintech environment in the history of the country. He stated, and I quote once again, "This administration gets that fintech and innovation isn't important as supporting the big guys, and the big guys in fintech can actually work together to accelerate the process. We're very bullish on the U.S. regulatory system. Under this administration, I think the regulators are taking a thoughtful approach, and I think that is them, in the nicest way of me saying it possible. I don't want to. Okay, whatever. I almost said I don't want to say it, and then I almost said it. The nicest way of saying it is bending the knee or kissing the ring. A lot of people who are working on the Ripple team are actually the regulators themselves, if you can believe that. So they're making sure to always be very, very nice and kind of give like a light thank you. When they people always wonder why they say things like this. It's because the people who are on their team make the laws, and they know the other people who are also making the laws. So you have to kind of tip your hat to them and say thank you for what you're doing. On whether XRP would make a comeback in price, Larson spoke about what gives a digital asset value. According to him, the asset needs to be serving an actual use case, barring which it would be speculation. He stated, and I quote, "Over the long run, it's going to be a combination of deep liquidity market makers. More importantly, it has to have a use case. The use case of the XRP ledger and the XRP, the digital asset, is really around initially reducing the cost of liquidity for cross-border payments." He gave an actual clear answer, and he said, "Long term, we think it's clear winner in this race to be another digital asset for the world for all use cases. It's a long-term play. You can't just be a store of value for the sake of being a store of value. You actually have to have a use case," end quote. Not going to read more because it just kind of continues going on. I guess it was an entire interview. I'm very interested, and I'm sure many other people are, even people I'm sure who hate Ripple and or XRP. I'm sure you're all interested to see exactly who their partnerships are. A lot of people have been swayed or have actually purchased anywhere from 1 to 500 XRP as like a just in case. I've been seeing people mentioning that in the comment section below. Say what you want about them. Their coin actually has a use case. Many other coins don't actually have use cases. EOS has an actual use case for the network. Many of the other major coins don't have a use case. And I think it's great that Bitcoin is a store of value. If that is your use case, then kind of go for it. But if you've been paying attention to my videos over the last year, and you see all the partnerships that they have going, it is going to be quite interesting of a future for the cryptocurrency space and for Ripple and XRP when XRapid finally gets turned on and they have hundreds of banks and institutions who are going to be using their products, and not just XCurrent, actually using XRapid. And many of these companies have already come forward, and apparently there are around like 20 more in the pipeline, especially banks who are going to be using XRapid by the end of either this year or the middle of 2019. Next up, U.S. stock brokerage firm EF Hutton announced it would release research and ratings of cryptocurrencies and industry businesses for its clients. This was said on the 5th of September. EF Hutton, whose affiliate Mega Inc. previously launched its own cryptographic token Mega Coin, never heard of it, said in a press release it wants to assist confused investors who are keen on gaining a better understanding of the space. And many great investors are confused by the rapid developments in this new asset class. This was said by Christopher Daniels, who is the CEO, adding that the move represented the first of many initiatives involving cryptocurrency the firm would be taking. EF Hutton researchers will undertake a review of some of the largest cryptocurrencies in the market. Of course, it will be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, EOS, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Cardano, awarding each a 1 to 5 star rating. They said the rating scale is 1 to 5 stars, with 5 stars representing a positive outlook and 1 star representing a negative outlook. Obviously, coverage of businesses will also use the same scale. EF Hutton announced its first subjects as Hive Blockchain Technologies and Canadian mining startup Hut 8. Not going to read too much more. It kind of goes into the other rating companies and the other institutions that are kind of out there that have been rating. This is only going to continue. A lot of people are very interested in the cryptocurrency space, and what's going to happen is that we're going to have a lot of people who are going to start rating the cryptocurrencies. If you notice, a lot of the other ratings have not gone over too well with people, as a lot of the coins that have been just hype have received abysmal ratings, and coins that not even have an actual use case, coins that actually have like proper tech behind them, end up being the number 1, 2, or 3 coin. I think there was one time, multiple times, where Weiss Ratings gave, I think, Bitcoin a 17 out of, rather they were in 17th place, and then I think they moved it up to 15 after people lost their minds. There was some company that gave ratings for cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin was relatively low, and the Bitcoin community kind of lost their minds, and they were screaming at them on Twitter. They were emailing them apparently like threats and stuff like that. Please know that your email address and everything else can be tracked, so regardless of how strongly you feel about a cryptocurrency, don't send people really crazy things, because like I said, everything can be tracked nowadays. So depending on how you feel about something, just pay attention. Anyway, the point is, this is going to continue happening, and I wonder what is going to happen with this, because the other time, I think China gave ratings about their top cryptocurrencies, and I think EOS was number 1, and the price of EOS actually went up by, I think, like 12% that day when they actually gave the news of how great the tech for EOS was. So let's see exactly if we get more of these from other companies, and exactly if this has any, if this causes any type of price movements in the cryptocurrency space. To finish this off, Coinbase is in the news. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong predicts the number of people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem to grow from the current 40 million to 1 billion people in the next 5 years. This was reported by TechCrunch on the 7th of September. In an interview with TechCrunch, Armstrong predicted that the crypto ecosystem and the total number of digital currencies will grow substantially, attributing the growth to commercial organizations which develop their own tokens, the tokens which reportedly function together with equity as an alternative investment system. Armstrong explained, and I do quote, "It makes sense that any company out there who has a cap table should have their own token. Every open source project, every charity, potentially every fund, or these new types of decentralized organizations and apps, they're all going to have their own tokens," end quotes. For people who don't understand what that means, is we are moving to a world where everything is going to become digitized, and we're going to have a lot of talk potentially at the beginning, or rather the end of this year and the beginning of 2019, of things called STOs, which are security token offerings, which is pretty much is going to lead up to the future of the digitization of everything, where it is believed that everything that has value will be digitized or made into a token and put onto a blockchain in order to keep track of it better. And this also recently happened. Somebody sold a piece of art from Andy Warhol on a blockchain, and it was also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was digitized, if you will, and a fraction of the painting was actually sold off through the blockchain. This is kind of what it comes down to. They believe that the future will be that everything that has value will be tokenized so that it can be kept track of on a blockchain. Addressing the issue of regulation as one of the crucial factors for implementing his vision, Armstrong called it a big open question and noted that it remains to be seen whether the majority of tokens will be recognized as securities. He said that Coinbase does feel a substantial subset of these tokens will be securities. It's been noted before by the SEC that they believe that every single ICO that we have out there right now is a security, so this is why a substantial subset of tokens. Armstrong added that Coinbase could host hundreds of tokens within years and potentially millions in the future. That is to kind of, maybe not millions, but it's kind of to show how insane the entire space is expected to get, because if everything ends up digitized, i.e. let's say we enter a future in 5 years where blockchain and cryptocurrencies have become so large that everything is digitized. This would also include the stock markets and other things like that as well. So pretty much every stock that's out there would also then allowed or become digitized, i.e. would be put onto a blockchain. And as Coinbase has big aspirations for the future, you'd be able to pretty much buy and or sell them and deal with them through Coinbase or whatever subsidiary that they plan on creating. In order to become a fully regulated broker-dealer and offer future services that include crypto securities trading, margin, and other over-the-counter trading, Coinbase acquired securities dealer Keystone Capital Corporation, in addition to Venovate Marketplace Inc. and Digital Wealth LLC. The acquisition could help the company subsequently expand into non-crypto financial products. This means pretty much, like I just said, for those who do not know, I've seen people who are new to the channel, welcome. What it comes down to is a security is anything that is pretty much on the stock market right now, i.e. stocks, bonds, mutual funds, hedge funds. And it's also things that people buy with an expectation of making a profit from them, i.e. let's say you buy stock or a house or something like that, and you own it with several other people, and it is through a company or whatever the case might be, that is then considered a security as you are expecting profit from the asset that you have purchased. Coinbase is looking to not only become a licensed security dealer, but they're also looking to also become a bank. And this is why I said before in another video, I think Coinbase is setting themselves up to be like one of the largest corporations in the entire world. We just had 2 days ago, I think Amazon is now $1 trillion company, the same exact thing as Apple. I wouldn't be shocked if in 5-6 years, if Coinbase ends up becoming a multi-trillion-dollar company as well, simply because of what they're trying to do. And if you are able to potentially hold hundreds, if not millions, as they said, of cryptocurrencies and or crypto assets and or securities on your platform, the amount of money and the amount of revenue that company is going to make is going to be absolutely staggering. To think that where we are now, what is it, 41 million, 40 million people in crypto, that sounds about right. That sounds like a relatively okay number. To have 1 billion people, think of the prices that we are going to have in the cryptocurrency space. The entire thing around Bitcoin, or the idea for those who are relatively new or have not heard me say this before, is that there are only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin, with the last Bitcoin being mined, I believe, in the year 2140. So that is quite a ways off. By the time we get to around the year 2030, it's going to be apparently almost impossible to mine Bitcoin. Thus, the idea is that not every millionaire in the world, even right now, will have access to a full Bitcoin. In 5 years, if we have 1 billion people who are into cryptocurrencies and are trying to desperately probably own 1 Bitcoin, it is going to be impossible. And this is where we get those crazy price predictions from. But 1 billion people in the cryptocurrency space is excitingly scary, because it makes you wonder exactly how far prices will go. Like if you look back at, let's say around like 2012, if you read books around 2012, 13, if you read books from now that talk about the cryptocurrency space in the past, when Bitcoin hit like $15 and it hit like $120, people were selling rapidly because they thought that was as high as Bitcoin could ever go. People sold, they had Ethereum when it was around like $2, $3, $4. It hit $50. A lot of people sold their Ethereum because they thought it possibly couldn't go any higher. And now we're getting predictions for the price of Ethereum anywhere between $4,000 and $10,000 per coin, as it hit $1,300 before. So $4,000 is not out of the realm of possibility, but should the cryptocurrency space continue to take off the way that it is or has been or is expected to go, Bitcoin hitting 1 million, even Litecoin hitting like I think 50,000 at some point in the future, it's all believable if we have 1 billion people on the planet who are buying, trading, and selling and hoarding cryptocurrencies. Alrighty, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you guys are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Go outside and do something fun. Enjoy your day, and hope it's sunny wherever you are. It's really sunny here. Thank you once again for watching and or listening, depending on how you gather this information. And I will talk to you all soon. See you.